What happens when a beloved childhood figure sits down for what should have been a simple, friendly promotional interview, only to realize the host across from him is ready to tear apart everything he represents? What you're about to read is one of the most uncomfortable daytime TV moments in recent memory, where calmness met hostility, respect was met with mockery, and one man's patience was pushed right to the edge. Make sure you hit that subscribe button and turn on notifications, because this story will make you rethink everything you thought you knew about daytime talk shows. Leave a comment below and tell me whether you think Ralph handled the situation the right way. The morning had started like any other at the View studio. Ralph Macchio arrived early, looking sharp in a navy jacket and clean white shirt, ready to promote his newest project. The star of The Karate Kid, now in his 60s but still carrying that youthful charm that made him a household name, had been scheduled for a short 7-minute segment that his publicist promised would be smooth and positive. But Joy Behar, sitting at the panel table flipping through her notes with a look that hinted at mischief or something worse, seemed to have something very different planned. The other hosts, Whoopi Goldberg, Sarah Haynes, and Alyssa Farah Griffin, chatted casually, unaware of the tension that was about to explode. "Ralph Macchio is here, everybody," Whoopi announced cheerfully as the cameras began rolling. "Star of The Karate Kid and Cobra Kai. Ralph, welcome back to The View." Ralph smiled politely and took his seat. "Thank you so much for having me, Whoopi. It's always great to be here." "So, tell us what you're working on now," Sarah said with real interest in her voice. "Well," Ralph began, steady and professional, "I'm developing a new series about mentorship through martial arts, but in a very different way than people expect from me. It focuses on how ancient teachings can help modern kids deal with cyberbullying and pressure from social media." Joy leaned forward, tapping her pen against her notepad in a sharp, almost confrontational rhythm. "Ralph, can I ask you something?" "Of course," Ralph replied. "Don't you think it's kind of irresponsible to keep promoting violence to kids?" Joy asked bluntly. "We live in a world where school shootings are happening, and you're still out here teaching children to punch things." The room seemed to freeze. Ralph's smile faded a little, but he kept his voice calm. "Joy, I think you might be misunderstanding what martial arts really teaches. It isn't about violence. It's about discipline, respect, self-control." "Oh, come on," Joy cut in, waving her hand. "That's just a fancy way of dressing it up. At the end of the day, you're teaching kids to hit people. How is that not encouraging violence?" Whoopi shifted in her seat. "Joy, I think Ralph is trying to explain that martial arts is more than just a I can talk for myself." "Whoopi," Joy snapped, eyes locked on Ralph. "Ralph, you made millions off a movie where a kid learns to beat up other kids, and now you're doing another project about the same thing. Don't you think it's time to move on from karate already?" Ralph took a slow breath, his hands folding in his lap. "Joy, The Karate Kid wasn't about attacking others. It was about a kid learning to stand up to bullies and defend himself when he needed to. The final tournament wasn't about aggression. It was about facing his fears." "That's a cute way to spin it," Joy said with a smirk. "But let's be real. You peaked 40 years ago with that movie, and you've been riding the same wave ever since. Isn't it time to accept your 15 minutes are long gone?" The other hosts exchanged uneasy looks. Alyssa looked uncomfortable. Sarah stared down at her hands. Whoopi tried to step in, but Ralph lifted a hand gently to indicate he could handle it. "Joy," he said softly, "I'm not sure why you're being so aggressive. I've worked for more than 40 years. I've been blessed to be part of projects that have connected with different generations." "Hostile?" Joy let out a humorless laugh. "I'm just being honest, to something most people in this industry don't have the guts to do." "You're a one-trick pony, Ralph." "Karate Kid, Cobra Kai, this new thing, it's all the same story. Underdog learns martial arts. How many times can you tell it?" "If you watched Cobra Kai, you'd know my character has developed quite a bit," Ralph replied, a tiny bit of frustration finally leaking through. "He struggles with family issues, running a business, dealing with the outcomes of his past. It's about growth." "I tried to watch it," Joy said, exaggerating her disgust. I made it maybe 10 minutes before I turned it off. It's the same childish nonsense, just with older actors who should have moved on. Ralph's jaw tightened. I'm sorry you didn't enjoy it. But millions of others found something meaningful in the stories about perseverance and doing the right thing. Doing the right thing? Joy raised her voice. Oh, you mean punching people in the face? Real nice. I'm living in a world of my 70s. She corrected herself clumsily, where we're teaching kids that violence is never the answer. Joy Whoopi tried again. Am I mischaracterizing him? Joy snapped. Or am I the only one here willing to ask the tough questions? We sit here every day talking about gun violence, toxic masculinity, bullying, and then we bring on a guy who glorifies fighting. Ralph leaned forward slightly. His hands were clasped tightly now. Joy, have you ever practiced martial arts? Have you ever spoken with children who do? Do you know what they learn? I don't need to take a class to know what it is. Joy shot back. It's organized violence with fancy clothes and colored belts. It's a way for insecure people to feel strong by learning how to hurt others. That's completely wrong, Ralph said, his voice firmer now. Martial arts saved me when I was young. It gave me confidence, focus, purpose. It taught me that real strength is restraint. Joy rolled her eyes. Oh please. Spare me the after-school special. You were an actor who memorized lines. You didn't discover some magical wisdom by doing movie kicks. The audience murmured uneasily. Ralph heard the rustling behind him, but he kept his eyes on Joy, who seemed to be enjoying every second of the discomfort she was creating. Joy, Ralph said quietly, I'm starting to think this isn't about martial arts at all. This feels personal. Joy's expression sharpened. Personal? You really want to go there? Fine. I think you're a washed-up actor hanging on to the only thing that ever worked for you. I think you use nostalgia to stay relevant and make a paycheck off parents who want their kids to relive the 80s. The studio went dead silent. Ralph slowly stood up. His face was red, but his voice was still controlled. Joy, I came here to talk about a project meant to help kids. I didn't come here to be insulted on live TV by someone who isn't even pretending to interview me. Sit down, Ralph, Joy said sharply. We're not done. Actually, Ralph said, steel edging into his voice, I think we are. Joy leaned back, clearly pleased with herself. What's wrong? Can't handle real questions? Maybe you should have stayed in the dojo where everyone bows to you. Joy, that's enough, Whoopi said firmly. But Joy kept going. This is what I mean. Challenge the karate hero and he runs. Very inspiring. Ralph's hands were clenched. His calm was starting to crack. You know what, Joy? He said. You want tough questions? Let's go. But don't confuse cruelty with honesty. Cruel? Joy barked. I'm just telling the truth about your career. If that feels cruel, maybe that tells us something. You want to talk about careers? Ralph stepped closer. You've spent decades tearing down people who actually create things. What exactly have you built besides negativity? The audience gasped. I've been a comedian and host longer than you've been relevant, Joy hissed. I don't need to explain myself to some faded teen star. Comedian? Ralph shook his head. Is that what this is? Because I don't hear anyone laughing. I hear you using your job to humiliate a guest who came here honestly. Maybe we should take a commercial break, Sarah whispered. No, Joy snapped. He wants to challenge me? Fine. Ralph, you made one good movie 40 years ago. Everything since then is you trying to squeeze out the last drop of attention. Ralph's jaw tightened even more. Joy, you don't know anything about my work. You admitted you couldn't even sit through 10 minutes of a show beloved by millions. I don't need to watch hours of something to know it's trash, Joy snapped. But you do need to watch it before you trash it on national TV. Ralph shot back. You're supposed to be a journalist, Joy. Where is the integrity? Joy turned red. You've been playing the same guy for 40 years because you have no range. Same character? Ralph laughed in disbelief. Daniel LaRusso then and Daniel LaRusso now are two completely different people. If you can't see that, Maybe you don't understand character at all. Maybe we can talk about Ralph's other projects Alyssa started. What other projects? Joy cut her off. Name one thing he's done that isn't karate. Ralph paused. His voice dropped to a cold whisper. Joy, even if the Karate Kid was the only thing I ever did, it still would have meant more to people than anything you've added to culture. The studio froze. Joy's mouth fell open. Excuse me? For 40 years, Ralph said, voice steady, people have found encouragement and strength in Daniel LaRusso. They've learned to face bullies, to grow, to persevere. What have you given people besides sarcasm and bitterness? How dare you insult me on my own show? Joy hissed. Your show? Ralph looked around. I thought this was The View, not the Joy Behar show. But maybe that explains why you think you can treat guests like this. Whoopi tried again. Okay, everyone, let's pause. No, Ralph said, eyes locked on Joy. I want her to explain how tearing people down counts as entertainment. Joy leaned forward. At least I'm not a washed-up has-been holding on to the past. Past? Ralph said loudly. Cobra Kai came out 5 years ago to massive success. My new project is backed by a major streaming platform. What exactly sounds like a past glory to you? It's all the same, Joy shouted. Karate, karate. Karate. Aren't you tired of being Daniel LaRusso? Ralph paused. Something in his face shifted. Calm settled in. You're right about one thing, he said quietly. I am tired. Tired of sitting here while you disrespect everything I've worked for. Joy folded her arms. So what are you going to do? Ralph looked at her. Then the hosts. Then the cameras. I'm going to do what Daniel LaRusso would do, he said. I'm going to walk away with my dignity. Oh, how noble, Joy said mockingly. Running away when it gets tough. Great message. Ralph stopped mid-turn, then slowly turned back. You want to talk about running away? He said. Let's talk about hiding behind a desk and insulting people who actually take risks. Let's talk about building a career on negativity because it's easier than creating anything meaningful. Joy's face lost color. You don't know what you're saying, don't I? Ralph stepped closer. I've spent 40 years facing rejection, criticism, success, failure, and through it all, trying to make work that matters. I make honest television, Joy shot back. But her voice was weaker now. Honest? Ralph laughed dryly. You attacked me over things you made up. You trashed a show you barely watched. You dismissed the positive impact martial arts has had on millions. Where exactly is the honesty in that? Whoopi tried one more time. Ralph, please see. No, Whoopi, Ralph said calmly. Joy wanted honesty. So let's be honest. He looked right at Joy.